Because of also, though, the crazy storms that happened overnight in the Twin Cities on Thursday night, TCO lost power. So at practice today, they're running everything on generators. And the Vikings had to bring in battery-powered scoreboards for practice because theirs literally won't turn on because of all the storm damage in Egan. So things are great on this Friday. Things are great.
It's 2010. So wait. So he went through practice today then on Friday, not Thursday.
He was there to start practice. He was there to start practice, and the official injury report will come out later when we're done recording. But he was there to start.
This is for. I'm sorry to clarify. This is for Friday.
Yeah, for Friday.
Okay, he did not practice Thursday.
Right.
So here's what NFL teams will do, and this is probably what Judd was about to say. They will literally roll you out in a wheelchair once media leaves, so they can say he was limited in practice. So they can plant seeds of doubt in the opposing team about who's going to play, who's not.
Absolutely, and as Phil knows too, the Wednesday and Thursday practices are the most aggressive ones.
Yes.
In which the Friday one, it's not a walkthrough, but it's also not as intense. So, like, if you're hurt, you can hobble out to the Friday practice and not be too scared. Wednesday and Thursday, if you miss both of those, it's a huge deal. If you miss one, it's a big deal.
Yeah, that might be a good segue here because I don't know.
Hey,
you guys hear him? I can sense that Keys is around the corner here.
That's
right.
God.
Every Friday.
Speaking of hobbled,
Judd's keys to a Vikings victory in Week 2 over the Cardinals, presented this week by Federated Mutual Insurance Company. Federated has been around. You want to talk about keys to protect your business, all right? Risk management tools and resources, the MyShield platform, 100-plus years of experience, some of the best and smartest people in the industry. Federated brings all the keys when it comes to risk management, protecting your business, your bottom line, and your employees. Find out more at federatedinsurance.com. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. Let's fire it up. Judd Zulgad's keys to a Vikings victory.
Maestro, thank you very much. We have 4 keys to a Vikings victory over the Cardinals in Glendale, Arizona on Sunday. We will start at the bottom and work our way up. Key number 1. Hold on, keys. Okay, he gave me the list. It's electronic this year. Very nice. Thank you very much.
Wow, I feel like Keys was having a hard time connecting, to his work email there for a while. So I'm glad he got that straightened out.
He did have. Well, I mean, the drinking problem got in the way, but we've cleared that up.
Oh boy.
Oh, you didn't know? Oh yeah, no.
Keys I didn't know.
Keys is a lush. Okay.
Yeah, Keys and his wife Wall Hook are no longer together.
Key number 4. Flag Day. All right. So the Vikings tied for 7th in the NFL last season with an average of 5.1 penalties per game. Okay.
So they were seventh best.
Seventh best. So on the positive, they were tied with a bunch of teams, but 5.1. That's not bad.
Yeah.
They had 5 or fewer penalties in 9 of 16 games. Again, that's very good. Until they got to this year's regular season opener against the Bengals, in which they had 12 penalties and 11 against the offense.
I think they had 5 on the first drive, legitimately.
Yes. So the key here is very simple. If your offense is that undisciplined and stupid, you're going to lose football games. The first key is that has to be, or I should say the fourth key, that has to be cleaned up. That absolutely, and by the way, on the record, Mr. Positive here, Judd Zulgad, I think it will be. So that's a key that has to be cleaned up, and I think that will be. That's the one thing where that's not going to be the reality. So that's an incredibly important key, and I also think it's one key the Vikings can control. I mean, they're going to called for holds and things, but
holding is going to be a problem.
But Phil, to your point, like with the false starts, inexcusable. So that's key number 4.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like Rashad Hill's going to hold. Garrett Bradbury's going to hold. There's going to be holding. Brian O'Neill was the only offensive lineman that didn't commit a holding penalty, I'm pretty sure, in that game last week.
But the false starts, come on. Like, just don't flinch, okay?
There was one, I think it was the second C.J. Ham one, in fairness. He
saw this.
Barely, he blew, his jersey blew in the wind, basically. But like 4 defenders pointed it out, so I don't know if maybe there. And I was looking at someone put a clip out of the all 22, so it was just like the behind.
Yes, I saw
view,
it.
And so I don't know, maybe he did something that we couldn't see, like with his hand or something.
He could have twitched just quickly, just a little twitch.
What if you have?
Bam.
This is what I always wonder. What if you're standing there, like you're in your 3-point stance or whatever, you're a fullback or you're a right guard. You guys ever just get like an itchy foot or something?
Oh,
or like,
God, I can't imagine.
Or just something like just an uncontrollable itch or something happens, and your quarterback's changing the play and
you twitch,
going through a series of cadences and stuff. Like, it would be torturous.
I sneezed merging onto the freeway today, and it was one of the scariest 2.5 seconds of my life. I'm dead serious.
Oh, dude, I've been there.
You don't know actual fear until you sneeze merging onto a freeway at 55 miles an hour.
Yeah. Well, because first of all, you're thinking about the lead up to the sneeze.
Oh, you don't do that. What? Are you crazy?
What, you just sneeze on the windshield?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, that's
oh, God.
No one's in the car. I'm driving. Why wouldn't I sneeze on the windshield?
So gross. Yeah, but your wife drives the car, too. I saw video footage of you picking someone up and driving her in the car last weekend on Instagram.
Yeah.
Does that person know that you sneeze all over the dashboard?
If I'm merging onto a windshield or onto a windshield, if I'm merging onto a freeway and I have to sneeze, I am letting it out. I am not covering my face. Now, if someone's in the car or I'm on a side road, absolutely.
So you're sneezing on the steering wheel?
Yes.
God, dude.
If I'm where Declan was,
then you're touching the steering. Oh, no.
So what? I'm going to die instead? I'm going to cause a huge accident because I couldn't contain a sneeze? No, I'm going to let that sneeze go.
So gross, dude. So gross.
Key number 3.
Keys is anatomically unable to sneeze. It's one of the benefits of Keys.
That's very, very true. Very good. Key number 3. For the birds. All right. So you thought Joe Burrow was good. And by the way, I'm not insulting him. I like him. But first came back from a torn ACL, MCL. Definitely did not have a lot of ability to move. Still played a very nice game. But now you're going to be facing Kyler Murray, who threw 4 touchdowns and ran for another. And, the Titans are expected to be a pretty damn good football team. The Cardinals didn't beat them. They killed them 38-13. 2 touchdown passes to DeAndre Hopkins, 2 to Christian Kirk. And now we find out that Kyler Murray is going against a Vikings defense that I think is going to lack Anthony Barr. And if Kendricks can play, which I sort of have some doubts about, he is going to be doing it essentially on one leg. And Kyler Murray is an absolute, as far as ability to move, an absolute elite quarterback.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I guess my question is, what's the plan to stop him? And if Kendricks can't play as well, is there any plan that's realistic to stop him?
Well, it's tough. I mean, he ran for 819 yards and 11 touchdowns last year. So I don't think. I mean, he runs for 50 yards a game on average when you include just the full slate of defenses he faces. If the Vikings are without their 2 best and really only starting caliber linebackers, it's problematic. Because I'm sorry, but like Dalvin Tomlinson's not chasing down. Like, the best thing that the Vikings defensive line can do is just sort of create a little pocket and prevent him. But he's going to scoot out of that pocket whenever he wants to. This was supposed to be an Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barr game because those are 2 of the most athletically skilled linebackers in the NFL. It's going to be tough. Like, you're not going to hold this team to like 9 points, and you're not going to hold Kyler Murray to like 15 rushing yards.
Yep.
You're probably going to have to win this game. I think the over-under is like 51, and we'll get to Purple Props on Purple Daily.
Yep.
Like, you're going to have to score 27 or 30 points if you want to win this game. That's the reality.
Yep. And Phil, I did see a quote from yesterday. You are correct. Anthony Barr has spied the QBs like Kyler the most.
Yeah.
And so he's not going to play, I don't think. I will throw this one out, guys. What would you think about coming up with especially if Kendricks can't play, what would you think about coming up with an adjusted and creative out-of-the-box game plan that actually brings Harrison Smith down to almost be a linebacker? And to the point of where I would consider playing another safety, like instead of being like, well,
so 3 safeties and Harrison's like a spy or something.
Exactly. So he plays the pseudo role essentially of linebacker. Mm-hmm. He's the spy, has more freedom because to me this whole game's about speed. Like, it's not about strength, it's about speed. And what Troy
Greasy, fast, speed.
Speed. You got speed. You got speed. You got burners. But
I want you to eat lightning and crap thunder.
Does Troy Dye? Oh man, I'm glad he's playing. So I'm just thinking out loud here. Sounds crazy, I know.
Well, what's more likely? Because Mike Zimmer has been known to come up with some creative things here and there. He's not going to overhaul the defense every week, but even in week 1, there was a handful of snaps or maybe more where he was lining up his 2 interior defensive linemen, his 2 nose tackles, basically, Michael Pierce and Dalvin Tomlinson, on the left side as you're a quarterback, on the right side if you're a defense together. What's more likely if Kendricks and Barr both don't play? That Zimmer just runs out 2 backup linebackers in nickel and just plays the same scheme that he would if Barr and Kendricks were there, or that he gets creative and does something with Harrison Smith as a spy? I think it's more likely he gets creative.
I hope you're right.
But if those guys are out, there's only so much you can do schematically against a guy like Kyler.
Keys is here for the creativity. Keys doesn't bleep around. Key number 2 as we work our way up. Time to get cooking. Dalvin Cook had 61 yards on 20 carries against the Bengals. The Cardinals, now this is what's interesting. The Cardinals will put, and they did this against the Titans and Derrick Henry, they will put extra players in the box and play one high as far as the safety goes. They held Henry last week to 58 yards on 17 carries and gave up only 86 yards rushing total. The ability that you have is they're going to try to stop Cook first and foremost. And if they do that, you have an opportunity to pass the football and to use play action and to freeze their defensive backs. My point being is that this offense early on should take some shots, get cooking, because of the focus on Dalvin that is going to exist. That doesn't eliminate him, but it uses him perfectly potentially in play action, which, as Phil, you've said, statistically, the Vikings did a absurdly few amount of times against the Bengals because the Bengals played and get ready for the button, get ready, put your hand on the button. The Bengals played a lot of the bear front last Sunday.
Football.
The Cardinals last season were definitely one of the worst run-stopping defenses in the NFL. They allowed 4.6 yards per carry on the ground and over 2,000 yards total. There were 11 teams that allowed over 2,000 yards rushing. The Vikings were one of them, and so were the Cardinals. So you can run on this team. They weren't quite like Cowboys bad defensively, stopping the run, but you can run the ball on this team. I think it's more likely the Vikings, or I should say very likely, that they scale way back from 49 pass attempts. Now, the game flow dictated when you're losing and you're on the road, like Kirk was going to drop back 50 times just based on the game flow. But I think Mike Zimmer in his track record constantly goes back to, let's bring it back down, let's throw the ball 25 or 30 times, let's hammer Dalvin Cook, let's get him going, and I think that's going to be the main focus for the Vikings.
I want to see this. Justin Jefferson's line, 7, 114, and 1 at least.
Yep.
That's what I want to see.
And a long of 35 for a touchdown.
I'll write that down.
For a write that down point for me.
It's so self-serving. Keys isn't self-serving like you are.
That's why I wanted Taylor Heineke to win last night. I was more looking out for me than I was for Taylor Heineke. I want my write that down to come true.
It's unbelievable.
Carried him out the field, man.
All right.
Right.
Key number 1. I feel like the last key positive, right? Like I'm saying, hey, they got a chance to pass the ball here. They got a chance to do some things offensively. Well, unfortunately, key number 1 is not going to be nearly as positive about the offense because key number 1 is sad sack. Sad sack. Good luck to Rashad Hill. Okay. I would like to, as you leave on your journey to go out to Glendale to play the Arizona Cardinals, I would like to wish you luck going against Chandler Jones, who had 5 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, and 2 forced fumbles last week against the Titans.
God.
Much of that was going against a guy who he is tailed off a lot, but 3-time Pro Bowl selection, Taylor Lewan, who is a left tackle. Now, he's not nearly the player that he used to be, okay? But he was still in 3 Pro Bowls at one time, so he has had success. Chandler Jones had 19 sacks in his last full season in 2019. Now, he had a biceps injury last year, so he only played in 5 games. But the point being is, I have no idea. If this guy is on again, I have no idea how you help him, even with Rashad Hill getting help. So, like, let's say you get him some chip help. Let's say you double team Jones. Like, what's the answer here? The man had 5 sacks last week, and Rashad Hill is not the starting point of I feel confident.
Only 7 times in NFL history since 1982, these are official sack leaderboards. Only 7 times has a player sacked a quarterback more in a game than Chandler Jones did last week. The legendary Derek Thomas did it twice. He has the NFL record, single game, 7 sacks against the Seahawks on November 11th, 1990. And then he also had 6 sacks in a game against the Raiders in 1998. The most recent, you have to go back 4 years, Adrian Claiborne for the Falcons had 6 sacks against the Cowboys on November 12th of 2017. So it was one of the most dominant defensive performances, like individual performances in the history of the NFL last week.
2 forced fumbles too.
Oh, God,
2
I
forced
know.
fumbles.
It's ridiculous.
But I mean, what do you do to slow him?
Yeah, well, I mean, pray.
And then you've got J.J. Watt on this team now, and he's not the player that he once was, but he's still good, still really good.
Yeah, no, he's as Toby Keith would say, he's not as good as he once was, but good once as he'll ever be if he's lining up against Rashad Hill at any point in this game. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, again, you can scheme, but there's also so many things you can scheme for if you're missing guys like Kendricks and Barr and a viable left tackle. And so this is the other thing. This is a game where things aren't going to be perfect. Again, you're on the road. You're facing a mobile quarterback. You're facing a couple ferocious pass rushers. And this is why you pay an extra $30 million for your quarterback to rise above some of it. I mean, you just got to go in and say, listen, man, you're not going to be able to sit back there all day. You very rarely are. I mean, it's the Vikings offensive line. So just going to need you're going to have to pick some spots, throw some footballs into tight windows, and you're going to have to get rid of the ball quickly and sense pressure. And it's like, this is why you make $30+ million instead of, finding a random guy like Taylor Heineke that makes $2 million.
No 7-step drops, and the ball has to come out. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing with Kirk. He can't sit back there. I'm sorry, dude, but you've got to get that ball out. You can't literally do what you did at least once last week, which is watch Garrett Bradbury approach you like an oncoming truck and freeze. Like Kirk was on the train tracks, and the train was coming at Kirk, and he's just like, what's going on here? Like, that ball has to get out somewhere.
Yeah, and also, like, again, I'm using Hall of Famers to compare here, but the cap hit is what it is. That's the air that he's sitting in. I feel like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady have always been statuesque quarterbacks in their prime, and Drew Brees too. And there are a lot of games, like people think, well, those guys just went 15, 20 years and always had amazing offensive lines. That's not true.
No.
But those guys also were better at, okay, my center is getting smoked today, or my left tackle is just getting beat today. What do I need to do to adjust and prepare for that in game? All right, so Garrett Bradbury once again getting trucked. So I just need to know that I got my slot receiver, KJ Osborne, right here. Like, if this guy gets forklifted back into me, sometimes you're going to get sacked, but just you got to prepare for it. At this point, you've been here for 4 years. Rise above it. Deal with it.
The ball has to come out. Boom. It comes out. Boom. That's how it comes out.
What was that? All right, Brian Baldinger.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of Baldy this week,
The
guys.
single best left tackle in the NFL in 2020 is Teron Armstead. I mean, I guess he didn't get the message on this shove right here about anti-bullying in America. I mean, it's the whole package of how he plays the game. Like,
Watch
his
his throw
hands are
here to
just
Cameron Brate.
hands.
Little quick jab. Little bam.
There it is.
Little punch. Knock him off bounds. You got to change it up. You get the predator off bounds, and then you dance.
Yeah, shot
Football.
Predator off bounds.
And you dance. Yeah. So, all right. Hey, Judd's Keys coming in hot for week 2. Judd's Keys to a Vikings victory. Vikings vent line was awesome last week. We, I think, flirted with a record number of viewers and listeners on that show. So right when the game ends, it's the most interactive show in Minnesota sports, and you can find it live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. We'll be there, surly in hand, and welcoming you guys, Vikings fans, into the show with us throughout. So you can send, if you want to be part of the show, just send an email to vikingsventline@gmail.com. That's where we're taking all the requests. And we're going to go through a lot of callers, win or lose, and so we hope to get you on if you guys have interest. So, all right, any final thoughts on this Friday here before we head into a football weekend? Gophers, Colorado, Vikings, Cardinals.
Percentage chance the Vikings win.
40%.
Dex?
40%.
25.
I feel like and I'm probably wrong here. I feel like we're overcorrecting a lot and giving them no chance, which is always extremely dangerous in this league. I'm going to say, yeah, 40% is probably right.
They're not favorites, but it's not hopeless.
Well,
by any means.
And this is and I just feel like they have no chance, which is ordinarily when I'm wrong.
Yeah, the Cardinals. Listen, let's not go crazy on the Cardinals. Right. All right, well, they were a 500 team last year,
and if the Cardinals had barely beat the Titans or lost in week 1, we wouldn't be talking like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they win, but I also think that I am so convinced that the Vikings are going to lose that it feels almost I'm too confident.
And outside of some major outliers like Kansas City and Pat Mahomes and maybe Tom Brady Buccaneers, and then on the bottom end like the Jets, almost everything gravitates toward a middle ground. Like everything kind of comes back to earth in the NFL. Before, and I don't know what the spread was on this game 2 weeks out, but the Cardinals dominating the Titans and the Vikings getting beat by the Bengals has drastically affected the perception of this game, probably more than the reality. And that doesn't mean the Vikings are going to win necessarily, but they have a better chance than people. Like a week ago, this thing probably would have been I think it's a 3.5 or 4 point spread right now. It was probably like a 1.5 or a 2 point spread, is my guess.
And the Vikings absolutely. It seems weird because it's just week 2. They have to be desperate, right? Like you don't want to come back here with the threat of going to 0-3, which if they lose is certainly possible.
Yeah.
Because I think if you had Detroit in week 3, you'd be like, okay, but Seattle. So if you're not desperate now, you're probably in trouble.
Yeah. So, all right, Judd's keys to a Vikings win.
See you later.
Mackie and Judd, please give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple, and click the subscribe button on SKOR North YouTube and Purple Daily YouTube. See you guys.